Hey, Uncle Mark.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, Uncle Kermit.
Why are there so many? Sorry, I just had a mouthful of water. That was probably the wrong time for me to hydrate, wasn't it?
It's fine. It's fine.
Songs about rainbows.
So here's what I'm thinking about. I am thinking that our country, if it needs one thing,
Yes.
and one thing alone, it's spiritual leadership.
Oh, thank you for saying it.
I just feel
Thank
like,
you.
yeah.
And we have it. We have it.
And thank God.
With the most godly man the White House has ever enclosed.
Yeah. Finally, we got rid of that church attending fella that like, you know, professed his Christianity all the time.
And liked his children and his wife.
Yeah.
That closet atheist who went to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
Muslim.
Well, we all wish he would come out as atheist. But anyway, we got rid of him and traded up for 2 Corinthians himself.
That's right.
Yes. Who may, in fact, and it gives me no pleasure to say this, who may, in fact, be the first truly atheist president of the United States.
No, does it count as an atheist if you think that you yourself are God?
No, you are not. Thank you. You are not an atheist if you believe in a God.
Right.
Even if it's one very close to you.
Well, dear uncles, there are in these times so many religious people to pick on.
Yeah.
But before we go down another rabbit hole stuffed full of hypocrisy, bigotry, and graft and stupidity that has become kind of our speciality, I would like to address what has become by default an all too frequent focus of this podcast. I am making a public appeal to the leadership of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Oh, no.
A.k.a. the church formerly known as Mormon, to please just give us a little time off from your shenanigans.
Oh, shit.
Just a week ago, we did a big recap on Mormon General Conference. So I was hoping...
You did. We didn't even pay attention.
Yes, I put you through a recap. Exactly.
Yeah.
I put you through a recap.
I feel like I was roofied. I don't even remember what happened in that.
I thought we could have a few weeks off from anything related to the Mormon Church, and instead, have some fun at the expense of the myriad other cults and stupid stories and corrupt pastors out there. But alas, it seems that the brethren can't go a fucking news cycle without smashing their sagging chodes against the windshield of a burning monster truck for all the world to see. So while we'll resist the temptation to talk about Apostle Dallin H. Oaks' appalling comments on LGBTQ rights this week, we will at least acknowledge them.
The next prophet of the church.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's one 95-year-old heartbeat away from the middle podium.
He's always going down the stairs second right after him with just one hand out.
Yeah, exactly.
So we won't talk about his comments, but we'll at least acknowledge them in order to plead with the Mormon leadership to leave us the fuck alone for a while. Just because you see a rake doesn't mean you have to jump on it with both feet. Just because someone's having a perfectly nice life that you don't approve of doesn't mean you have to take a shit on it. You have plenty of tax-exempt shopping malls to manage, so get to it.
Word.
With that out of the way, I would like to talk about another racist, pointless, and dangerous old white man, this time in the form of
Pascal
Mark. Oh, okay.
No. Sorry, I missed that.
Next time. This time in the form of Pastor Robert Jeffress. It is pronounced Jeffress. Fuck! I got it wrong. It's Jeffers, not Jeffress. Fuck this guy.
Yeah, but it's spelled... How do you spell it?
It's spelled Jeffress. F-F-R-E-S-S, but it's Jeffers is how you say it.
That may be how you say it.
Yeah.
It's not how I say it.
Call him whatever you want.
I say it dingle shithead.
That's pretty nice. As we've talked about in the past, this is not meant to be a political, a topical, or even a very good podcast. But from time to time, especially in this era, politics swerves into our lane like a drunk Matt Gaetz drifting into oncoming traffic because he's trying to keep his homemade swastika armband from falling off. And so, a few weeks ago, one Pastor Robert Jeffers appeared as a guest on Fox and Friends and laid out this gem early in the morning for his followers. Quote, I have never seen the evangelical Christians more angry over any issue than this attempt to illegitimately remove the president from office, overturn the 2016 election, and negate the votes of millions of evangelicals in the process. They know the only impeachable offense that President Trump has committed was beating Hillary Clinton in 2016. If President Trump is removed from office, it will cause a civil war-like fracture in this nation from which our country will never heal. That's nice.
Yeah. Just whenever the other side of the political divide engages in totally normal, absolutely like down the barrel constitutional action. That's
Civil War.
Civil War. That's right.
And it's odd to me that the side that got their asses handed to them in the Civil War keeps pining for it to happen again.
This time,
we'll get them now.
So
can I just say, by the way, that I just looked up Robert Jeffress, and I'm looking at it. He looks like a cross between like Mr. Rogers and a Keebler elf. I don't. I
have kind of Don Knotts after a meth binge. Yeah.
And then after that statement, as I'm sure our listeners are aware, President Trump tweeted it out. That's the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief of our armed forces, the man with the nuclear codes in his breast pocket, openly threatening violence if he's impeached. And
sorry, go ahead, Doug.
No, I was going to say, if you think that's not unnerving, go read the comments to that tweet, or rather, don't do that.
Yeah, I just looked up the definition of stochastic terrorism. The use of mass public communication, usually against a particular individual or group, which incites or inspires acts of terrorism which are statistically probable but happen seemingly at random. So,
right.
Stochastic terrorist, President Trump. Continue.
Yeah. Okay. For you out there lucky enough not to have ever heard of Robert Jeffress until now, let me ruin your day. And God, I got to tell you, if there's a front line in the modern culture war, it is most certainly the Wikipedia page for Pastor Robert Jeffress.
Yeah?
Yeah, each paragraph is written either by a total acolyte or a sworn enemy.
Yeah, well,
it's pretty hilarious.
Sounds about right.
I'm sure it's changed while we've been speaking.
Hey, you know what? If our listeners want to get on that, go for it.
Get in there.
Yeah.
Dive into the fray.
You kids have fun.
Jeffress's pedigree and career in the evangelical movement are basically indistinguishable from all the other pastors we've talked about. In utterly predictable fashion, prepare for a tale of greed, dishonesty, and bigotry that can only truly be described as evangelical. Born in Texas in 1955, the state, not a city that I could find, just the state. Because what's the difference?
What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?
Jeffress would go on to earn degrees from Baylor, Dallas Theological Seminary, Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, and Dallas Baptist University. So,
Yeah, those are all dumb, and you shouldn't get degrees for any of those. Sorry.
That's a controversial position to take on this podcast. He bounced around as on the pastor circuit and the Christian broadcast circuit for a while, building a following. His television program, which he still has, called Pathway to Victory, is broadcast in more than 28 countries.
Victory of what?
I know.
Over whom?
I tried to watch it. It's unwatchable. And then I watched one episode, and then Comcast said I had to pay for the next one. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, right.
That's
a line I'm not going to cross.
Definitely not.
The radio version of his show is heard in 195 countries. So very few places on God's good earth you can go to not hear this guy.
We have over 195 countries.
That's right. I think we can chalk up a win for North Korea today, guys.
Yeah, right. I'm going to Saudi Arabia. I need to get away from this guy.
No doubt. In 2013, he had his big break when he took over the First Baptist Church of Dallas and oversaw the construction of a $130 million campus. So pass that plate around. He is the author of over 20 books, including such classic titles as America at the Crossroads, Countdown to the Apocalypse, The Truth About Angels, and, of course, Twilight's Last Gleaming. So,
Twilight's is that a sparkly vampire fan fiction?
That's right. It's his mash note to Robert Pattinson.
I don't know.
He's hot in a weird way. I totally get it.
I'm guessing he's Team Jacob. That's just my
I'm team
personal
whatever
guess.
That character's name was. I can't remember.
As we'll see, I think he'd be happily on both teams. It's in his political views where Jeffress really shines. Now, here's where I set up the world's most flammable straw man and then fire it into the sun. After Charlottesville, in which a group of uneducated incels succeeded only in making tiki torches actually somewhat menacing, before running over Heather Heyer, of course, Jeffress went on the record to say, quote, "Let there be no misunderstanding, racism is a sin, period. And that white supremacy and neo-Nazism are repulsive and totally contradictory to the teachings of God, and that there has been a failure on the part of the church, even a failure of conservative Christians in decades past, to denounce racism."
Okay.
That sounds nice.
I'm kind of on board with that.
Right.
That sounds like a good thing.
Before he said all that, did he say, these are things I don't believe and would never say in my right mind?
Right? Because of course, those statements can be tempered a bit by the fact that Jeffress is one of the most vocal and strident evangelical voices in support of Trump. It's tantamount to denouncing cannibalism while helping Jeffrey Dahmer stuff a homeless person into his trunk.
Yeah, it feels about that.
Yeah. And that relationship with Trump is the only reason we know of him. But before we get into that, let's put on our hazmat suits and wade into the rotting sludge that is the worldview of one of the most influential religious people in America. Now, I know I kind of said I didn't want to talk about Mormonism today, mere minutes ago, but if no one else is going to tell the truth anymore, why should I?
Fake news.
Jeffress has very strong views on Mormonism, which he describes as a cult and a heresy from the pit of hell.
Whoa.
To be fair, though, he thinks the same thing about Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, the J-dubs, and the Catholics.
He seems nice.
Yeah,
Seems nice.
It's really funny that his religious views are pretty close to accurate. He's just off by one.
Yeah.
So, famously during the 2012 presidential campaign, he championed Rick Perry as his candidate of choice and took several swipes at Mormonism and its mayonnaise avatar, Mitt Romney. However, in a completely precedented act of hypocrisy, he endorsed and campaigned for Romney when he secured the nomination. The reason, of course, for this endorsement was that, while Mormons might be evil cultists, they're no satanic Kenyans.
I think we now know what path to victory means.
Exactly. Right.
Back whoever's winning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On the eve of the 2012 election, he made this shocking statement, quote, "I want you to hear me tonight. I'm not saying that President Obama is the Antichrist. I'm not saying that at all. One reason I know he's not the Antichrist is the Antichrist is going to have much higher poll numbers when he comes. President Obama is not the Antichrist, but what I'm saying is this. The course he is choosing to lead our nation is paving the way for the reign of the Antichrist."
Wow.
Well, you know what?
Partially
I don't
true.
think he's wrong.
Right.
I think 8 years of a nice, competent Christian technocrat that happened to be black, and everybody went crazy, and then here we are now.
Yep.
We have Melania thinks Christmas is like Slovenian blood fountains. So,
just leave it to the Antichrist to send a black dude in to pave the way.
Right.
yeah.
It's just racism.
Yeah,
Well-
classic Antichrist antics.
And it will come as no surprise to you that Jeffress thinks that the gay sex is icky, which must obviously be the reason he can't stop thinking about it.
It's pretty icky, guys. Let me tell you. Yeah,
And
it
in
can
fact,
be.
Our friend Jeffress thinks about gay sex quite a bit. He's called same-sex marriages counterfeit, and to support that, he cites, of course, Romans 1:27, which reads, quote, "And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense for their error, which was meat." That's meat.
So working that
not
which is
meat.
unseemly is clearly the shaft. And
I thought that was the balls.
yeah,
The,
maybe
the balls were
Yeah,
kind of
maybe.
unseemly.
And then
Yeah.
the meat is the shaft. Okay,
We got
cracked
And
it.
of course, that's M-E-E-T, not M-E-A-T, but they chose the word themselves, so...
It's their word.
Yep. In his speech titled "Gay is Not Okay," he declared,
Wow,
quote,
what a great... Can I just pause for a moment to commend him on his title? Because it rhymes. It's
concise.
it's concise. That's true.
It's dumb
Yet
enough for his followers.
profound on several levels. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it
works
goes
in
deep.
so many ways.
Right.
Yeah.
In that speech, he declared, quote, "What homosexuals do is filthy. It is so disgusting that it is beyond description." Now, quick side note, according to Pornhub, VidAngel, and the aforementioned Book of Romans, gay sex most definitely can be described.
yeah.
Also, according to all of those, not exclusive to gays.
Right.
None
That's
of
right.
those acts are exclusive to gays.
Right.
Also, he's very clearly just talking about gay men and ignoring, as they all do, the fact that there's just throngs of lesbians in the world.
Right.
Yeah,
And if
and
there's
by
any-
people. And,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, is this the one with the fucking pool boy?
No,
Or is that
that's
they
a
all
different
have
one.
pool boy?
They
Oh,
all-
he
you
has
sure?
a pool boy. You know there's
They've
a
all
pool
got
boy
pool
involved.
boys.
But he hasn't been caught with one yet.
But to your point, Uncle Dan, that one thing that might, more than anything else, call into question his heterosexuality is his lack of obsession on lesbians. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Right.
And then he goes on to say, and it is their filthy behavior that explains why they are so much more prone to disease. Nice guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There are, of course, hundreds of clips of him on YouTube, and for my sins, I watched many of them. There is no subject that animates him more than two dicks touching. So there are clips and clips and clips of him railing about the gay agenda, the gay lobby, and the boundless suffering of oppressed bakers, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go back really quickly to the whole the excess disease thing, because if that's his argument, he should be 100% pro-lesbian, because that's
right.
Of all of the groups of gay,
Sexually
straight,
active people. Yeah.
lesbians are the least likely to get any kind of venereal disease
That's
or sexually transmitted infection. So
He should join me in that position.
yes, indeed.
So I'm going to make a prediction. As the two of you are fully aware, I have a wee bit of arachnophobia, such that I have nearly abandoned a car on a busy freeway because there was a spider in it.
It's true. It's true. I was in the passenger seat, and Doug nearly, we were on the way to Niagara Falls going like, I don't know, kilometers, 43 million kilometers per hour. And a spider the size of a sesame seed got on Doug's hand, and we all nearly died.
It's not about the size.
Tuck and roll,
girl's
Doug.
blouse.
So the other day, a friend of mine told me a joke that with all of these pastors who are railing against homosexuality turning out to be gay, I am surprised that I am, in fact, not a spider. So my prediction is that somewhere on Monsieur Jeffress' hard drive, there is a somewhat hidden and oft-opened file called Financial Records, so stuffed full of dicks that it would make Freddie Mercury blush.
Yeah.
So that brings us to Jeffress and Donald Trump. Early in the 2016 campaign...
It's also stuffed full of dicks.
Yeah. The biggest dick of them all.
Yeah. Early in the 2016 campaign, Jeffress was actually a backer of Ben Carson because Jeffress can pick a winner. But pretty early on, Jeffress went all in for Trump, claiming in 2016 that Christians who did not support Trump were, quote, fools motivated by pride rather than principle. Whew.
Wow.
This enthusiastic fellatio did not go unnoticed, and Trump named Jeffress as one of the founding members of his Evangelical Advisory Board and White House Faith Initiative, so named presumably because Legion of Doom was trademarked. Who sits on President Trump's Evangelical Advisory Board? Well, such dim lights as James Dobson, Jerry Falwell Jr.,
J-File Jew,
Ralph Reed, and Paula White, whom we discussed back in episode 82, and Michelle Bachmann, who, incidentally and not surprisingly, is married to perhaps the gayest closeted man in world history, Marcus
God.
Bachmann.
You're right. I totally forgot about him.
Yeah.
That
my
guy
God.
didn't. I think he ran an gay conversion
Almost
therapy
certainly, yeah.
He did.
thing.
Please
He did
look him up on YouTube.
Dr. Heal Thyself. Like, that
Yeah.
guy is Liberace on meth.
Yeah. He has two toy dogs, like some toy breed, that he dresses up in matching outfits himself.
Yeah.
That doesn't make one gay, but...
But
But it doesn't not.
right. Well, I think if you went to their household and you saw that they they have separate beds and the
Right.
dogs sleep with him, that's how you know.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That freak.
Well, membership in these boards has its privileges, and Jeffress has had many occasions to find himself in his master's presence. If you do a Google image search of Jeffress and Trump, you will see dozens of photos of the two of them at rallies, at parties, on planes, and in the Oval Office. In the wake
Is that a sex thing in the Oval Office?
in the wake of the Stormy Daniels revelations, Jeffress rushed to, of course, Fox News to declare, quote, even if it's proven true, it doesn't matter. Going on to say that policy matters more than the president's personal life.
Jesus Christ.
That sound you just heard was Bill and Hillary Clinton tearing the fabric of time and space.
Yeah. Honestly, that is absolutely their belief until it's about their
Right.
As somebody
Just
said, yeah.
put the caveat in there for us. Come on.
Right. Come on.
In 2017, when Trump put a hold on DACA on the advice of a furiously masturbating Stephen Miller,
Okay. Nope.
Jeffress said this.
There's been too much dick talk on this show, and I'm the gay guy, okay?
We're renaming
Stops
the show.
now.
Dick Talk with Doug and Dan. Like nearly every pastor in America, this is what he said. I want to see a solution for children threatened with deportation. I believe it is unbiblical to tear apart families and to punish people who are in our country illegally through no fault of their own, adding, "The president is one of the most compassionate people I have ever been around."
Oh, yeah.
And he was sincerely torn with between his sincere compassion for the DACA recipients and the oath of office he took on January 20th to execute all the laws of the land.
Oh, that's right. That's what keeps Donald Trump up at night is his oath.
Yeah, exactly.
My God, my oath I took. You ask any of his ex-wives about his oaths.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you could extract hypocrisy from a human the way a Skeksis draws vitality elixir from a gelfling, and then record the sound of it off-gassing, it would sound like Robert Jeffress.
Oh, God.
Someone got that joke.
I feel like off-gassing is a term that is correctly applied to this man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no moral to this story. We live in a weird age where most of our religious citizens are being whipped up to violent fervency by a man designed in a laboratory to negate their entire belief system. And we have people like Pastor Robert Jeffress lubricating the hole with his spit. So, there you go.
Well, thanks for joining us for Dick Talk. It's been great.
However, there could be a happy ending to this because in July of 2020,
Happy ending. Still Dick Talk. What are we doing?
Pastor Jeffress is hosting a Pathway to Victory Alaskan cruise.
What?
Patreon goal.
Patreon goal. Oh, we need to be on that boat.
We can
Pray
get enough
for
patrons.
the iceberg.
If we can get enough patrons to get tickets, my promise to you is that I will contract E. coli, salmonella, norovirus, all of the hepatitises, and listeria, and proceed to cough on every doorknob and touch every buffet item with my unwashed hands. It may not be the solution we need, but it's the solution we deserve.
I'm just Googling, how do you spell torpedo? Because the Second Amendment says I can have one, right?
It's right.
Yeah. It's your
God.
right as an American.
Still more Dick Talk. We just can't stop with it. Okay.
Just relax and let it slide in. You'll like it.
Let it happen. All right, folks. That's Dick
There
Talk.
you go.
Let's move on.